Who have been the best 100 players this season? Starting from number 100 to number 1, who's been the best player this season, in my opinion? Now, this is purely based off this season. De Bruyne isn't in the top 100 because he's not played this season, but obviously De Bruyne is a top 3 Premier League player. You've got to take that into account. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, this was like the hardest video I've had to make, so please do hit that like button. And of course, subscribe down below if you're new, because like how am I meant to compare a Doggy and Szoboszlai? Both had good seasons for their club, but they play for different clubs in different positions. It's so like actually difficult to put a list together. Like I feel like the top 10, everyone knows that's the top 10, but actually the ordering of it, like someone who's 36th could also be like 51st or 19th. Do you know what I mean? Like the ordering of this list is so hard, but we're going from 100 all the way to 1. Let's get right into it. I'm going to skip through these first ones really quickly because we don't really care about these ones, but we've included them in the list. And I feel like I've missed out someone really obvious. And if I have missed out someone really obvious, please comment it down below, because I spent a lot of time thinking, have I got everyone? Have I got everyone? I feel like I've missed someone. I do. Getting through this, Joelinton's been great, but been injured, so can't be any higher up. Caicedo, because he cost 100 million, people think he's worse than he is, but he's been okay. He's not been amazing, but he's been okay. Kilman's decent, Pinnock's decent, and Johnny Evans exceeded expectations. Coming in to 95th, Lewis Dunk been really good for Brighton. Maybe that was a bit harsh. And Mbuemo's been really good. Zinchenko, some people might say that's harsh, but you know, there's a lot of Arsenal players I rate a lot higher than Zinchenko this season. Maybe it was a bit harsh. Leno's been good in goal, and I've gone with James Garner 91st because I actually think, despite the position in the league, Everton have been okay. Is that 90th is Martinelli, which again some people might say is harsh, but Martinelli had quite a slow start to the season for his standards, and maybe he's been better than that, and I'm holding against his standards. He's looked really good lately. He's looked really good post January. But compared to Saka, it's, you know, I expected a bit more from Martinelli this season, but he's still an unbelievable player. Bruno Fernandes is there in 88th, not having the most amazing season, but still being a solid player for United, winning them points, coming up in moments. Bruno Fernandes is obviously a top player, so even when he's not at the best, he's decent. Mark Gay, one of the most underrated players in the league, in 87th. Again, he's one of those players that I could put in like 61st. Like, it's so hard. Like, Martinelli could go 60th maybe. Mark Gay could go 61st. Like, it's like, well, what position do they play? What club do they play for? What's their importance to their club? There's so many things when like grading a player, like what position they should be. I've gone with Elanga in 85 because I think for the standard of Forest and what was expected of Elanga, I think he's been really good for Forest. I've gone with Diaby of Villa 84, McGinn of Villa 83, Onana of Manchester United 82, because this is Premier League rankings, not the Champions League. If we're looking at the Champions League, Onana, it was the worst player in the whole Champions League. If we're looking at the Premier League, bar one mistake, he's not put foot wrong, and that was early in the season. 2024 Onana has been very good, and people need to give him a bit of plaudit for that. And then I've gone with Paquetá, 81, because West Ham are doing quite well in the league. 80th, I've gone with Morgan Gibbs-White's top player. And 79th, and some people say maybe he should be higher, Conor Gallagher. But whenever I watch Chelsea, they've got 200 million midfielders, but Conor Gallagher stands out because he is a workhorse. I've then gone with the young, well, it's actually not that young, Alfie Doherty. He's been impressive. 77th might surprise people, but Kai Havertz. If I did this ranking pre-November, Kai Havertz wouldn't be in the top 300, but he's really grown and shown some importance to Arsenal. And then Akanji, 76. 75th, might be some surprising names in here. I've gone with Lamina of Wolves. Whenever I've watched Wolves, he's impressed me. 74th, Anthony Robinson of Fulham. I think he's going to get a big move. I think United, Liverpool, a few players will be looking at left back. I've gone with Diaz of Liverpool. I think he's a great player. Again, like Martinelli, I've seen Martinelli was better last season. We've seen how good Diaz can be for Liverpool, and he's not quite hit that standard this season, but he's still a good player. He's been decent. Kulu, some could argue that Kulu probably should be a bit higher up. Maybe I could put Kulu 54th, to be honest. I think he has been quite good for Spurs, particularly when he was sort of playing in central areas. And Trossard 71st as well. He's been good impact for Arsenal because he's played central, he's played on the wing. But again, a lot of these players, deciding the order of them is hard. Every player on this list has had a good season, but deciding the order of them is so hard, because I'm also like, well, actually, has maybe Diaz and Kulu had better seasons than Doucouré of Everton? Probably. But then I also try and look at the club and the situation. And I think Doucouré has impressed me at Everton. Adebayo has obviously been very, very good when he's played. Hwang, I think he's Wolves' top goal scorer this season. He's been really good banging in the goals. Kobbie Mainoo, I mean, the fact that he's basically Man United's best midfielder and the first name on the team sheet at 18 years of age, unbelievable. I'm not going to rank him any higher because he didn't play until November or October. I think November he didn't play till. But the fact that he's played Casemiro's role and been levels above Casemiro speaks of how good he's been. Like, he has been good and he deserved that England call-up. And David Raya, 66, lots of controversy over that. Ramsdale being missed out, but David Raya has been very, very good. Coming in 65, Konza. 64, Rasmus Højlund. It took him 13 games to get that first goal, and then he's exploded. But the thing is, even when he wasn't scoring for Man United in those early games, his hold-up play was so good, his link-up play was good, he was a really good player. Basuma started the season really well, dropped off a little bit, but I still think for the most part, he's had a good season. 8, Nuri, you could argue he could be higher, to be honest. If he played for a big club, we'd probably be rating him higher. He's a good player. And Diogo Jota, he can't be any higher than top 60 for me because of his injuries, but this guy can finish. Liverpool have great dribblers in Diaz, but the finishing in the Manchester City game, Liverpool should have won that game. Jota finishes those chances. Jota, top clutch player, but I just can't rank him any higher because of injuries. Walker gone at 60th, Diaz gone at 59th, Maddison again. Maddison at the beginning of the season's top 5, but injuries, I can't really rank him much higher than 50th because he's not played as much. Pascal Gross, you could argue, could be higher as well, been really impressive for Brighton this season. He could be like 36th, to be honest. And I've gone with Harvey Elliott. I think recently, post-December, he's been playing a lot for Liverpool, and if we're going post-December, then Harvey Elliott's probably about 23rd. If we're going post-December, but he was really good when he came off the bench early in the season, and he's really impressed me. I put Curtis Jones ahead of Harvey Elliott because I'm looking across the whole season. I think Curtis Jones has played a little bit more. Maybe that's wrong, and had a bit more importance of his retention and stuff. He's a bit more experienced. I've gone with Eze, 54. When you watch Palace, obviously Elise's been injured, so I've not included him in the list. But you watch Palace, and it's just Elise and Eze, man. Those two players are class. Ben White's gone at 53, new contract. I mean, particularly, again, he's been really, really good this season. Arsenal's defensive record is insane. Julian Alvarez started the season on fire, dropped off a bit, and then has picked up form again. And the 51 is a doggy. Again, I could maybe put a doggy in the top 30 because I do think he's been the best left-back in the league. So maybe 51 is harsh. That is probably quite harsh. I told you, this is the hardest video I've had to make because I'm thinking, like, how do I order this? Like, how can I compare Szoboszlai and a doggy? How can I compare Julian Alvarez and a doggy? Do you know what I mean? Do you know, it's just hard. Like, a lot of these rankings could be changed. I've gone with Garnacho 50th. He's really impressed me this season. He's really come on. And Garnacho does so much work off the ball that maybe a lot of people don't notice. He works so hard for United. And what I like about Garnacho is he gets the ball from deep and he just carries it up the pitch. Garnacho has the second highest expected threat from carries in the Premier League. Whenever he gets the ball for United, you feel like something's going to happen. Douglas Luiz is always a threat in the midfield. You feel like something's going to happen when he's there. Isak in 48, he's a great player, but he has injury troubles. But when he's played, he's been quite good. Kamara, again, Kamara of Villa could probably be top 30. He's been really important to Villa, and I thought Villa's build-up was really poor when they played Spurs, and you could see how much they missed Kamara. And then I've gone with João Pedro of Brighton at 46. Been a really, really good signing, that, hasn't it? He's been banging in the goals. Coming in at 45, I've gone with Mateus Cunha, who, again, you could argue could be quite high. He's been really good for Wolves. His hold-up's been really good. His general play's been good for Wolves. It's a big miss for Wolves, him being out injured. Joe Gomez, again, you could mark him higher when you actually think that Joe Gomez is a fill-in at left-back, right-back and centre-back. And he's not the biggest name in the Liverpool squad. He's not your Salah. He's not your Van Dijk, but he always is putting in the shift. Pedro Neto's coming in at 43. Yes, his leg goes and he's injury-prone, but there's no doubt it's a top player in there. I think if he could stay fit, he'd have the most assists in the league this season. A guy that's gone under the radar, but Edson Alvarez of West Ham has really impressed me at 42. And then Alisson, obviously best keeper in the league. I think Vicario's been the best keeper in the league this season, but overall, Alisson's a top keeper. Going at 40, Rafael Varane. Don't think Rafael Varane gets the plaudits. I feel like Rafael Varane's almost underrated because people say he's overrated because, you know, he's Real Madrid and that, but he's almost underrated because whenever he plays for United, he's our best defender. He's unbelievable. I think maybe he's had 1 or 2 bad games for United, if that. Been great whenever he's played this season, but had issues with the manager. Malo Gusto of Chelsea really impressed me. I think after Cole Palmer, he's been Chelsea's second best player, and probably, you know, there's been a lot of good right backs this season. The left back's a bit of a different situation. Anthony Gordon deserved England call up, really good for Newcastle, who've struggled a bit this season, but again, I think he's been good throughout the whole season for Newcastle, and he's one of the Newcastle players that have actually managed to stay fit. Like, Newcastle have some good players, but they've, like Joel Linton, I think is a good player, but he can't stay fit. Gordon's managed to stay fit. I've got Kudus in 37th. I mean, that solo goal from Kudus the other day was unbelievable. Top player. I got Szoboszlai in 36. Had I done this pre his injury, he'd probably be in the top 15. I wouldn't say he's been bad. I think he's been very good all season. But I just think that Mac Allister and Endo have probably had a slightly better season than Szoboszlai. But a couple of months ago, I think Szoboszlai would have been top 15. But again, he's been unbelievable signing for Liverpool. What a top player Szoboszlai is. Oh, there we go. Number 35, Brentford. Okay, so we've got a bit of a lag, but we're back. Hopefully we didn't lag out too much, skip too much. But Branthwaite been brilliant for Everton. He's 35th because you've got to think the team he's playing for, his inexperience, how he stepped up. Darwin Núñez, I was saying, I think is better than everyone thinks. I think he's having a better season than rivals think. Yeah, he misses. Yeah, he's offside. But his all-round play is good. He makes Liverpool play better. I think he's got over 20 goal contributions this season. I think he averages a goal contribution per game. I mean, Darwin Núñez is a lot better than he gets credit for. Bernardo Silva is Bernardo Silva, top quality player. Kieran Trippier, pre-Christmas, was arguably the best right back in the league. He's dropped off a bit post-Christmas, but because of how good he was pre-Christmas, he's still getting in that top 35. And I think he's ranked second or third for chances created still, and all of that, considering that Newcastle haven't been at their best. And 31st is Pape Matar Sarr, Pap Sarr, as we call him. He's been unbelievable for Tottenham, really stepped up. Missed a bit the season with AFCON, and you could see his presence was missed. Everyone was talking about Maddison, everyone was talking about Bazuma, but it almost felt like Sarr is the guy that makes them click. His off-the-ball work, his run as an 8 was absolutely unbelievable. Going into the top 30, don't want this video to be too long. Pau Torres has been class. Fabian Schär, really, really underrated season. Really, really stepped up for Newcastle. Been better than Botman this season. Delot's been really good for United. Again, having a really underrated season. Delot's been Man United's best player this season. He's really impressed me how he's evolved as a player. He's technically really good. His reading of the game's really good. He's been inverting into midfield, overlapping. His defending's improved. Probably one of the highlights for Man United this season. Ross Barkley's been shining up at Luton. And Bruno Guimaraes is a class player. Maybe I've ranked him a bit high, but he's just a class player, isn't he, as well? Leon Bailey, to be honest, Leon Bailey could make the top 20. I actually think you could argue he's been Villa's best player this season. Maybe Leon Bailey should be higher. I think he's been very underrated. Bowen's been fantastic again. I think Bowen's got the 6th most goal contributions in the Premier League this season. Mickey van der Ven would be top 10 for me if he stayed fit, because when he's played for Tottenham, he's been insane, but I can't put him in. To be fair, with injuries, you might have to put him 30th, but I've put him 23 because of how good he was when fit. Solanke, because he's at Bournemouth and banging in the goals in 22, been unbelievable. And Trent, 21. Trent, if you could stay fit, again, could make top 10 if you could stay fit, but he's had injury troubles this season. Going into the top 20, I've put Konate in there. I think he's been unbelievable. Romero just pips him because Romero's played a little bit more and had a bit more importance to Spurs in his build-up and stuff, where I guess, Konate is next to Van Dijk, which is not his fault. But Konate's been brilliant. Romero's been brilliant. I've gone Pedro Porro in 18th. I think he's really impressed me this season, how he's evolved. But Pedro Porro is unbelievable on the ball. His passing range, his creativity range, and he actually has higher creative stats than Trent this season. He has a higher goals and assists per 90, or expected goals and assists and chance to create per 90 than Trent. He's creative outlook, but he's improved defensively. Again, he makes Spurs better. I think the fullback 8 dynamic at Spurs has worked really well in Ange Postecoglou's system. Cole Palmer's coming in at 17th. People say he's a penalty merchant. People say he's a stat merchant, but when you watch Cole Palmer play, he's a very good player. The eye test, he's got the stats, but the eye test, very good. This is a guy who had very little Premier League experience going into a Chelsea squad that is an unstable environment where no one else there is experienced. It's a new manager. They're not playing great football. Why I rate Cole Palmer and Kobbie Mainoo so highly is because they're going into clubs where it's not easy. At their age, it's not easy to go there and be the stand-up player. Kobbie Mainoo's been United stand-up player when he's played. Cole Palmer's been Chelsea stand-up player for a while. And you've got to think these are young guys that are unexperienced and have gone in the hardest circumstances and still showing, you're a top-class player as well. And of course, Endo. Endo could be higher up. I think value for money, Endo is top three signings. Arguably, you could rank him first. But I think overall, I've put him 16th. He's not quite as good as Rodri and Rice for me, but I think value for money, and he's been at nearly as good this season. He's been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, and he's really grown into it, hasn't he? Especially because I saw him as a Milner replacement, not a Fabinho replacement. But this season, Endo was better than Fabinho last season, 100%. I've gone with Gabriel of Arsenal in 15th. Again, you could rank this guy higher. He's been really good for Arsenal. I've gone with Odegaard in 14th. Odegaard had a slightly slower start to the season. I think he was injured, was dropped a little bit, on the bench, maybe to do with the injury. But I think since January, Odegaard's been top 3 players in the league since January. But overall, I'd put him 14th. But he's created the most chances in open play. Vicario comes in 13th place, just making loads of saves for Spurs. Watkins is 12th and Haaland's 11th. But to be fair, probably should put Watkins 11th and Haaland 12th, because Watkins is doing it for Villa and he's got over 30 goal contributions this season and been unbelievable. So to be fair, I think Watkins probably could go above Haaland. Now, going into the top 10, and I think I've miscounted because I've got Foden in 9th and we've gone from 11th to 9th. So if I've definitely missed someone. I've definitely missed like the most obvious name, haven't I? Did I say Diaz? Did I say... I don't know. I feel like I've missed like a really obvious name. Foden, 9. Foden, first 2 months of the season was okay, and then it's exploded, hasn't he? But I'm basing it off the whole season. He's top 10, but he's not top 3 for me. But I mean, he's been unbelievable. But the thing with Foden is the games he's been unbelievable, but he hasn't been unbelievable in every single game. 8 is Saka. I think Saka just picks Foden just because of his importance to Arsenal, and the fact that you know Man City's team for the superstars, Arsenal's team for the superstars, but Man City have won it. And I think that in terms of consistency, he's been a little bit better, Saka. If we go into number 7, Son's been unbelievable, whether it's out wide, whether he's playing through the middle. He's really stepped up this season. He wasn't at his best last season, but he's really stepped up. He's a true leader for Spurs. Great numbers as always. Top player, Son is. Just beating him out of Salah. I saw a few people saying Salah hasn't had a good season. I mean, look at Salah's stats. He's still basically at the top for goals and assists combined this season. Yes, he's been injured. Yes, there's been AFCON. Yes, I mean, he's had the odd game where he's not been amazing, but he's been brilliant for the most part. He's a top player. I think because Salah, you know, he broke the goal record a few years back and he's always getting 20-plus goals. I feel like if Salah doesn't get 20-plus goals, everyone's like, it's a bad season. But I feel like it's the norm for Salah to get 20-plus goals. So if he doesn't get that, it's a bad season. But actually, it's not. There's just higher expectations for Salah because he is so good. Coming to the top 5, I've gone with Saliba. I think you have to put an Arsenal defender in the top 5 when you look at Arsenal's defensive record. I think Arsenal got the lowest expected goals against as well. When you look at all of Arsenal's defensive metrics, the fact that they had like 1 shot on target conceded a game for about 7 games in a row, how good they've been defensively. Saliba has to go in there. They've been unbelievable. Coming in number 4, a guy that I see in not many people's team of the seasons, but Alexis Mac Allister played really well as a 6 early in the season, but I think since Endo's come in, he's gone as an 8. He's hit another level. I actually think he's easily top 4 and maybe going under the radar a little bit because it's a 35 million signing. He's not the fanciest name in the world. Like I think Szoboszlai started better, but actually when you look at how the season's turned around, Mac Allister has been unreal. Going in 3 is Rodri. Do I need to explain why Rodri's 3? He's always good. I don't like him because he's good. But I think Declan Rice has had a better season than Rodri. I put him in 2. I think especially if Arsenal win the league, I think 100 million signing, big step up from West Ham, not disappointed, practically the captain again. Arsenal defensive record, Arsenal's midfield, their rest defence, he's a big part of that, but he's so good in build-up and carrying the ball. He's been great. So, who is my number 1? Well, look, this list could change. My number 1 could change between now and the end of the season. But I do think Van Dijk has been the best player in the league this season. I think he's been unbelievable for Liverpool. We're talking about the Premier League, but he did help them win the Carabao Cup. I think he's almost been that leadership figure that's put Liverpool in the title race. Everyone expected Arsenal and City to be in the title race and City to win it. But Liverpool are in that title race after not getting top 4 last season, after having to rebuild their whole midfield. It almost felt like they're going to need time to gel and all of that. But I think they're mentality monsters and his captaincy comes as a part of that. But I think he's refound his best form, his form from a couple of seasons ago. And he's been unbelievable at the back. He's been unbelievable defensively. So that is why he's my number 1. Guys, thank you for watching today's video. I do apologise for the odd lag spike. This took a while to make, so please share, hit the like, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you see next. Bye.